on to America's team. The Cowboys season is over, but not, but is. Yes, they've got another game left, but also yes, they're done for the year and already looking ahead to next season. After falling to 8-7 with the loss to the Seahawks, many have been questioning the future of Jason Garrett, but Jerry Jones seems to be committed to his head coach. Listen to this.
I certainly know a lot about Jason Garrett, but because of that, I can very quickly and candidly say his job is not at issue here at all. It's not in the best interest of the Cowboys right now to be considering a head coaching change.
I mean, Jerry Jones, seemingly the word of God here, but would bringing Jason Garrett back be the right move, CC?
Anytime I talk about coaches' hirings and firings, I try to look beyond me getting rid of them, and I try to replace them and try to wonder, did I really upgrade the position? I don't believe in just changing coaches just to change because, you know, they could do a lot worse. And based on what we're hearing from the coaching vacancies, there's going to be an unusual number of vacancies this year for head coaches. And when you look at the pool of coaches, I mean, there's really not a sexy name or someone that jumps out there, not unless, and I don't think he would do it, John Gruden. Now, if you told me that John Gruden was going to go to Dallas, then I'd be like, okay, then I think that might be an upgrade over Jason Garrett.
Tell me why. Why John Gruden over Jason Garrett? What does he have?
The reason why, because I believe that he's going to develop a young quarterback. Also, he has the type of energy that is really, I mean, it affects a locker room.
Infectious energy.
Yes, I believe that he is not a good leader. I believe he is a great leader. I know he loves the game of football. I just don't know with Dallas and Jerry, sometimes there's so many other things. And Gruden is about football, you know, and I would say that he is the most talented of all the coaches if they made themselves available. I don't think he's going to be available. I think Jason Garrett has done a good job with Jerry because the last few years, Jerry and them got it right as far as drafting the players. The players he gave him to develop, he's developed these players. They still need a few more players. We thought because they found Dak that, oh, now they're going to the Super Bowl. Well, they still need a few players. I believe Rod Marinelli has done a great job with their defense, and I believe that Scott Linehan, they should look at a new option as far as the offensive coordinator. That would be my mandate to Jason Garrett. I want to keep him as the head coach, but I need a different offense. I need something a little sexier. I need you to be able to draw up some plays to get my wide receivers open because I know my interior line and the running back and the quarterback, we're going to be good. But I do need the quarterback to grow. Now, do I trust that to Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett? I trust Jason Garrett enough to continue that process. I would hire a new offensive coordinator and try to reboot that offense.
Here's the critical point that CC brings up about you can't just look at it as, do we want to keep Jason Garrett or get rid of Jason Garrett? It has to, if you're going to go with option B, you then have to discuss and you have to figure out and be right about who is replacing him. I got a list in front of me right here. 22 teams in this league have changed coaches since 2012. Those 22 teams have accounted for 77 people being head coach of their football teams in those last 5 years. 77 guys for these 22 teams. So think about how many teams, think about what the Chicago Bears did. They decided, you know what, we're sick of being good but not great with Lovie Smith. We're going to hire Mark Trestman. That didn't work out, so they fired him. They hired John Fox. He's about 4 days from being fired. Think about what the Tampa Bay Bucks did. Also, yes, amazingly, to Lovie Smith. We're going to move on from Lovie. We're going to bring in Dirk Cutter. He's about 4 days from being fired. The San Francisco 49ers. Jim Harbaugh can't get along with our management. Yep. We're going to hire Jim Tomsula. No, we're going to fire him, bring in Chip Kelly. No, we're going to fire him. Took them 3 coaches to get it right with Kyle Shanahan. The New York Giants fired Tom Coughlin. Not good enough. Bring in Ben McAdoo. He's already fired.
Because everyone's hoping for the Sean McVay, right? Everyone's hoping for the one unknown, the one guy, the diamond in the rough that you never thought that was going to work out. But of those 77 people, there's like one Sean McVay.
Right. You go down the list and you're like, which of these teams? I mean, we can talk about the Raiders. The Raiders, who since John Gruden was their coach,
yes,
They've had 9 head coaches since then.
Wow.
9 head coaches since John Gruden was their coach back in 2001. So what you don't want to do if you're Dallas is get on this coaching treadmill. What you don't want to do, what you know about Jason Garrett is this. You're not going to have a bad season. You might have a mediocre season. Jason Garrett, since he's been there, has been at 500 or above every year, except for the year they were disastrous at quarterback because Romo got hurt. They were 4-12 once. Every other year, they have 3 8-8 years, 2 12-win year, 13-win year, and then this year where they'll be 8-8 or 9-7. Like, I think sometimes great is the enemy of good. I know people say it the opposite. Good is the enemy of great. Sometimes in your quest to be great, you end up with Dirk Cutter, or you end up with John Fox Part 3, or you end up with Jim Tom Sula, and then you're just doing this all over again in 24 months.
But this wasn't a Cowboys team that went haywire just because of the head coach. They had other issues. They lost their running back for 6 weeks. They had a bunch of controversy in the beginning of the season. So you can't just look at this season and just take their record separate from everything else and say, oh, that's Jason. You can just pin that all on Jason Garrett. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, true. But it's when you are coaching the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to be under a tremendous amount of scrutiny. Some of it justified, some of it unjustified. But Jason, to me, has proved he's more than a competent NFL leader. I just don't believe there's a lot of people that are born to lead an NFL locker room. You're talking about a very odd mix of 53 men coming from all different parts of the world, different understandings, and trying to get them on the same page, and with everything surrounding Dallas. There's always controversy in Dallas. There's always news as far as their players. Zeke, this is not new to Dallas, so you have to have a coach who can manage that. I'm going to give you guys a couple names who I believe they might not be available, but they are well suited. The #1 candidate, I believe, even outside of John Gruden, is David Shaw of Stanford. Now, his biggest problem, his dad is Willie Shaw, great NFL coach long-term. I grew up with David, Minnesota. Willie was there. His wife and him feel like they have the best job in the nation in coaching at Stanford. And so their question is this job or is this place, a better life? So I believe he'll stay at Stanford. And until he wins, Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Now, what if he took over the Dallas Cowboys? Now, that would be something that I would look at.
And that's another guy that's great with quarterbacks. At least, that's I know at Michigan he hasn't had the quarterbacks, but we saw Kaepernick with him, without him. I want to defend Jason Garrett on one thing. Because Jason Garrett's not the best clock management guy in the league, but he's not the worst. Jason Garrett's not the best offensive guru in the league, but he's not the worst. There's a lot of guys who are just awful at these things. The knock on Jason Garrett is, oh, he has the job because he's going to listen to Jerry. Here's a news flash for just people in America. Right. Everyone listens to their boss. This idea that there are all these head coaches that would go rogue against the owner. Ron Rivera, tremendous job security. They just got a great win this week. You know how he broke down the team? 1, 2, 3, Mr. Richardson. Why is Mr. Richardson in the news? Oh, he's selling the team because of a racist, misogynist scandal. Bill O'Brien, you think he wouldn't have liked to sign Colin Kaepernick? Guess why he didn't? Because his owner didn't want him to. All these guys listen to their bosses.
It is no different than us. We do the same thing.